In a ruling on Monday, a state appellate court's findings reinforced the work being done by the New Jersey Comptroller's Office after it found that Hudson County leaders violated the law when they awarded a multi-million-dollar prison services contract for the correctional center there without public notice or open public bidding as is required. The ruling comes as lawmakers are moving to scale back the powers of that office, the state comptroller, a plan critics warn could upend New Jersey's entire watchdog structure. As the controversy swirls, we're taking a deeper look tonight at all of the state's oversight agencies and the corruption they're tasked with rooting out. Our senior correspondent, Brenda Flanagan, joins us now with more as part of our Under the Dome series coverage. Brenda, what can you tell us?
Well, hey, Brianna. So New Jersey's got a lot of watchdogs, but that kind of goes along with its reputation for corruption. A couple of reporters called it the Soprano State, and its mob ties to illegal gambling that prompted lawmakers here to create the State Commission of Investigation, or SCI, in 1968. Mike Davis with the Asbury Park Press did a deep dive.
I mean, the SCI was born out of this great scandal in the late 60s when Life magazine reported that the mob had really infiltrated just about all levels of government in New Jersey. And they put together this commission of investigation that was supposed to be, the phrase they use is the watchdog of the entire system of itself.
Now, the SCI built a reputation as a powerhouse that rooted out waste, fraud, abuse, and corruption. But lately, not so much. It hasn't produced any reports this year, and its former executive director resigned after Davis and his colleague reported she lived in Maryland and had another full-time job. But the SCI's got a new exec, Bruce Keller. During a Senate Government Committee hearing on Monday, he praised a controversial bill that would beef up his watchdog agency, which he called a gem.
Investigations is 100% of the SCI's work. And the SCI does it with former prosecutors and deeply experienced state and federally trained investigators. And we're adding even more in the months ahead.
I think from talking to him, he wants SCI to be the glory, go back to the glory days when he was growing up, when the SCI was really this really scary, sterling organization that if you were somebody looking to take a bribe, if you got a subpoena from the SCI, you would just lawyer up immediately. You would have chills down your spine. I think his intentions are pure about making the SCI this really big, scary watchdog again.
But restoring the SCI would come at the expense of another New Jersey watchdog, according to that bill, S-4924. Sponsored by Senate President Nick Scutari, it'd effectively gut Jersey's Office of the State Comptroller, strip it of its power to issue subpoenas. New Jersey first appointed a comptroller to pay Civil War debts in 1865, but the position evolved to target financial misconduct and corruption. Former Governor John Corzine, who appointed New Jersey's first modern comptroller in 2007, recently told Politico the office should be strengthened.
I very strongly feel that it should be independent of the governor and the legislature, and it ought to stand alone as a watchdog. And if you put good people in there, good things happen.
Now, the comptroller this year filed 25 reports compared to 0 by the SCI. It audits Jersey's Medicaid program and clawed back more than $100 million in fraud and overpayments last year alone. But it also targets local government malfeasance, nursing home abuse, and corrupt influences.
And our investigation of police officers who let drivers go even when there was suspected drunk driving and they were going over 100 miles an hour, simply because of who they were or who they know and what card they had in their wallet.
That was Kevin Walsh, the acting state comptroller, acting because he's gored a lot of sacred cows and made a lot of enemies by going after the politically well-connected. One of his reports targeted a Union County manager who formerly served as Scutari's chief of staff. Another's directed at a company headed by South Jersey power broker George Norcross, an ally of Senator Jim Beach, who chaired the committee hearing and has deliberately blocked Walsh from getting confirmed.
You could have held a hearing on my nomination, but for 6 years have chosen not to.
I was so right. I was so right.
For 6 years have chosen not to.
That's one thing I was very right about.
So, yep, the comptroller's got critics. And it's true, its mission sometimes overlaps with the SCI's. In fact, Jersey's also got ombudsmen, plus an alphabet soup of overlapping watchdogs. The SCI, the OSC, OPIA, which is the Office of Public Integrity and Accountability, that investigates election crimes and misconduct by law enforcement. Then there's ELEC, the Election Law Enforcement Commission, which enforces campaign and finance laws. Are there too many watchdogs? Well, good government attorney C.J. Griffin says definitely not, adding this new bill really aims to defang one specific watchdog, the comptroller.
It's really just about not wanting this particular person who's been very effective at holding politicians and government contractors accountable. They don't want him to have that power anymore. And because the statute doesn't allow him to be fired just because they don't like him, he can only be fired for cause. The way they want to do it is just say, okay, we're going to deprive you of the one tool that allows you to do your job, subpoena power.
Now, the bill's sponsor, Senate President Nick Scutari, argues it'll eliminate duplication, streamline investigations, and strengthen accountability and transparency. But the bill actually revives and adds yet another watchdog to the SCI, the Inspector General. The original IGs had been folded into the Comptroller's office back in 2010.
I think more watchdogs is better than fewer watchdogs, all that sort of stuff. This is just not a genuine attempt to do any of that. So that's one issue, like the bill itself. And then the other is just, like you said, the process. The process is not right. Don't cram a bill through lame duck like this. Don't bully committee members into passing a bill through committee when they say they have reservations about it.
You have a number of watchdog agencies they're all looking at the same broad idea of corruption, of waste and fraud, in the SCI's case of organized crime. And I think there's a world in which you can have plenty of watchdogs that are covering all of this sort of stuff.
Now, New Jersey's watchdog agencies currently coordinate their missions, but Davis says Scutari's bill could constrain the comptroller to audits of Medicaid, procurements, and vendor contracts, curtailing his wider investigations into some of those sacred cows.
It really just comes down to a lot of powerful people awarding a lot of very lucrative contracts to their very powerful friends. And a lot of that work would be taken over by the SCI. What Kevin Walsh has said is basically there are plenty of active investigations that would essentially be stopped in their tracks and taken over by the SCI to some degree.
Interesting, Bren. Question for you, though. Where does the governor-elect stand on this? And would she keep Walsh on as comptroller if it doesn't get taken away completely, that is?
Well, Governor-elect Mikey Sherrill has stated that she is a champion of transparency. She's against corruption. She applauds watchdogs, but she won't take a position on this bill. Kevin Walsh's term will expire with this administration, and it will be up to Sherrill to decide who fills the office, Brianna.
All right, senior correspondent Brenda Flanagan for us. Brenda, great reporting.
Thank you.
Under the Dome is made possible in part by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, a private corporation funded by the American people.